And when I say fake news, I mean stories that are designed to trick people into believing lies. Deception 101. I see 3 buckets of them. Number 1, total hoax sites with totally made up news solely trying to trick you.
ISIS in many ways is something we've never really seen before. A really large, well-organized, well-equipped terrorist army. But they are lifting significant parts of their playbook from bad actors in the past who also relied on terror to help them rule. For example, the Vikings, way back in the 8th century, were known for such frenzied and vicious attacks on the villages they went after that often people would simply lay down their arms or run away to try to avoid annihilation. Vlad the Impaler in the 14th century was known for his cruelty to the degree that his legacy remains today far beyond Romania. In World War II, of course, Adolf Hitler's Nazis were feared for the cruel efficiency of their military attacks, the blitzkrieg among them, and of course the slaughter of millions of Jews. Joseph Stalin killed hundreds of thousands of his own people.
People think, oh, they're just going to report on the, the companies that advertise with them, and they're going to promote their products and they'll promote their agenda. And, with CNN, it was a mistake, and their ratings are failing, and, I don't know who they're hiring. But I will say this, Lonnie, the writer, they issued an apology. They wrote us a very nice letter. They apologized to us and our fans.
Oh, right, okay.
For including us in that. And that's the thing. It's like, because it has the word hate in it. Oh, then they just assume that it's racist.
In the run-up to the war in Iraq, the failure of mainstream news organizations to raise legitimate questions about the government's rush to war was compounded by the network's deliberate decision to stress military perspectives before any fighting had even begun.
We've got generals, and if you ask them about the prospects for war with Iraq, they think it is almost certain.
CNN's use of retired generals as supposedly independent experts reinforced a decidedly military mindset, even as serious questions remained about the wisdom and necessity of going to war.
Often journalists blame the government for the failure of the journalists themselves to do independent reporting. But nobody forced the major networks like CNN to do so much commentary from retired generals and admirals and all the rest of it. You had a top CNN official named Eason Jordan going on the air of his network and boasting that he had visited the Pentagon with a list of possible military commentators. And he asked officials at the Defense Department whether that was a good list of people to hire.
Well, I think it's important to have experts explain the war and to describe the military hardware, describe the tactics, talk about the strategy behind the conflict. I went to the Pentagon myself several times before the war started, met with important people there and said, for instance, at CNN, here are the generals we're thinking of retaining to advise us on the air and off about the war, and we got a big thumbs up on all of them. That was important.
It wasn't even something to hide ultimately. It was something to say to the American people on his own network, see, we're team players. We may be the news media, but we're on the same side and the same page as the Pentagon. And that really runs directly counter to the idea of an independent press. And that suggests that we have some deep patterns of media avoidance when the U.S. is involved in a war based on lies.
I'm sorry to say, but certainly television and perhaps to an extent my station was intimidated by the administration and its foot soldiers at Fox News.
We should have been more skeptical.
Number 2, hyper-partisan sites, which aren't lying per se, but they're misleading because they only tell you good news about your side and bad news about the other side.
Hillary Clinton blamed the victim. Number 101 when you're dealing with rape cases, don't blame the victim. She blamed a 12-year-old girl, a 6th grade 12-year-old girl, of seeking the attention of older men and fantasizing about being with older men. There's audio.
Wait, we haven't corroborated any of this, so, I mean, I just think you should be very...
It's widely reported. It's widely reported.
Widely reported. So is the National Enquirer. Widely reported. Widely reported doesn't mean anything. It's not on this network, I would point out.
Hillary Clinton had accused her of some sort of culpability in her own attack.
Widely reported. Widely reported doesn't mean anything. It's not on this network, I would point out. Wait, we haven't corroborated any of this.
Clinton wrote of the victim, "I have been informed that the complainant is emotionally unstable with a tendency to seek out older men and engage in fantasizing."
Wait, we haven't corroborated any of this. It's not on this network, I would point out.
Mrs. Clinton seems to admit she knew the defendant was guilty.
Wait, we haven't corroborated any of this. It's not on this network, I would point out.
Took a lie detector test. I have the polygraph. And she passed. Forever destroyed my faith in polygons.
It's not on this network, I would point out.
Okay, I'm just going to come right out and say it. This is quite possibly the best minute and a half of audio we've ever come across. Well, come across it a long time anyway. A massive brawl in Anchorage, Alaska, reportedly involving Sarah Palin's kids and her husband. It was sparked after someone pushed one of her daughters at a party. That's what Bristol Palin told police in an interview after the incident. And now police have released audio of that interview. It does include some rather colorful language from Bristol. Here now is Bristol's recollection of how that night unfolded. So sit back and enjoy.
My little sister comes up to me and says, some old lady just pushed me. She just hit me.
Okay.
Oh, no one's going to touch my sister.
Where was this at?
So we were in the limo. I walk back up. Did you push my sister? And some guy gets in my face, pushes me down on the grass, drags me across the grass. You this, you. I get back up. He pushes me down on the grass again and pulls me by my feet.
Okay. Where are you injured at?
My knees, my face. Where's my? I have a 5-year-old in the car.
And then
She's
a guy
20
came
years
out of
old.
nowhere and pushed you on the ground.
A guy comes out of nowhere and pushes me on the ground, takes me by my feet, in my dress, in my thong dress, in front of everybody. Come on, you here. Come on, you get the up here. I don't know this guy. I've never seen this guy in my life.
I think that long beep was my favorite part. We should point out that no charges were filed on this incident, and in a September 19th Facebook post, Sarah Palin defended her daughter, writing in part, quote, "I love my Bristol. I have to say this as a proud mama. My kids' defense of my family makes my heart sore." You can thank me later.
But if you're going to be honest about it, I don't think our founding fathers had these automatic weapons and military-style weapons in mind when the Second Amendment was drafted, when the Constitution was drafted.
So are you implying for the police, or are you implying for the private citizen? Because the majority of private citizens are not allowed to own fully automatic weapons.
It's obvious for anyone.
Okay, well, the gun law says that you and I can't just randomly go out and buy an automatic weapon, so let's deal with the facts here. A semi-automatic weapon is a gun that you and I are allowed to own, and in different places they have different rules. But to imply that anyone can walk out and buy an automatic weapon is just not true, Don.
What do you mean anyone can't? Well, listen, during the theater shooting in Colorado, I was able to go and buy an automatic weapon, and I, maybe have shot a gun 3-4 times in my life. I don't even live in Colorado. I think most people can go out and buy an automatic weapon.
Don, what is your definition of an automatic weapon? What is your definition of an automatic weapon?
Well, for me, an automatic weapon is something that you can shoot off a number of rounds very quickly. I was able to buy an AR-15 within 20 minutes in a state of which that I'm not a
you don't know, in all due respect, you don't know what you're talking about. An automatic weapon is when you pull the trigger one time and it continually shoots off. One after another after another. A semi-automatic weapon.
I can do that with my AR-15. You're getting into semantics here, just because
it's not semantics.
Hang on, Ben.
Let me finish. One is semi-automatic.
Yes, let me finish, Ben. But listen, I think you are getting into semantics. Regardless of what you want to call it, an automatic or a semi-automatic weapon, I can shoot off a number of rounds.
It's the difference between breaking the law and not breaking the law.
Will you let me finish? Will you let me finish, Ben, before we...
Is why does Putin dislike Hillary Clinton so much?
President Putin believes that Mrs. Clinton was promoting color revolutions, popular uprisings, democratic uprisings against authoritarian rulers around the world, including in Ukraine and Georgia, for example, neighbors to Russia.
Also, William, I think that Russia yearns again to be a superpower, right? It's not a superpower right now. Its economy is in the tank, right? And to appear on the same stage with the American president might give the illusion that Russia is again a superpower.
It certainly contributes to the idea that Russia is a great power, which it is. It's a large country in between China and Europe, two of the three richest markets in the world, has a lot of potential to influence both global affairs and affairs closer to home.
But I think number 3 is the most dangerous kind. These are the hybrids, because they purposely mix a little bit of fact and then a lot of fiction.
We were just talking, as you were watching the piece, these young men saying they're converting to Islam, they want to wage this war, and you were almost rolling your eyes.
Well, I was rolling my eyes. Look, all this stuff about the Quran and about Islam, from those kinds of guys, it's crap. Almost all terrorists, in fact, share certain things in common, and that doesn't. Islam is not one of the things they share. It was true of some in the Irish Republican Army, it's been true in Central America, it's been true in lots of places.
Fight those who do not believe in Allah or in the last day, and who do not consider unlawful what Allah and His Messenger have made unlawful, and who do not adopt the religion of truth from those who were given the scripture. Fight until they give the jizya willingly while they are humbled.
So what do they share?
Those things? TNT, basically. Testosterone. They're almost all young guys. Some of these guys may be a little bit older. Narrative. That's very important. They may not be oppressed. They may not have grown up oppressed, but they passionately identify themselves with some oppressed people. Maybe their own, maybe somebody else's. And finally, theater. They want to project themselves on the world stage.
They want this fame.
They want this fame. They want to carry out spectacular acts, whether it's 9/11 or the beheading of an American journalist.
If we can't discriminate between serious arguments and propaganda, then we have problems.